Hi folks, welcome to video number 25 in the Richard Lehman review series, and the last one that I'll be doing wearing my green pyjamas. This one I've chosen a book called Out of the Lights, which was released in 1982. It's an early Richard Lehman novel, and funny enough, this is also, as with the previous one about Night Show, this is also about the horror industry. And this one has three different threads going on. You've got one thread involving a young deaf girl. She's split up with her boyfriend and she finds solace in going to the cinema and watching movies. She wants to catch some of the horror films that are on, but she seems to always miss them. And then she meets a police officer and forms a relationship very quickly with him. Typical using fashion, people fall in and out of love all the time. But to be fair to her, she had major doubts about her ex-boyfriend. He's a bit of a creep, and she does genuinely fall in love with this police officer. So that's thread one. Thread two, the jilted boyfriend wants this girl to split up with this police officer when he finds out she's with him. He still has feelings for her. He wants a second chance, but then he meets this very strange girl, unusually for Lehman, a girl who turns out to be a bit of a psychopath. And she convinces him to try and kill this cop off, and then eventually wants him to kill off his ex-girlfriend as well for the money, and that they can be together. Now, she's very attractive, and she throws herself at this guy. She's always, she's just all over him seductively. And he kind of is a bit scared and intimidated by her because she's very attractive, but she's also really, really strange. And then plot number three, and he also likes going to the cinema and watching films. And plot number three involves the cinema and all these movies. There's all these horror films being shown late, and they're seen as really shocking horror films about all sorts of stuff. These three threads all converge together into one pretty well written and well structured horror book. Especially for an early one, this one is one of Lehman's better structured books in terms of it has a clearly defined beginning, middle, and end, and these threads all work well together. Now, it may not sound massively exciting or interesting at first, and I'm going to try and keep some spoilers under my hat, but I do have to spoil tiny things about it. And again, a lot of these things are revealed very early on. So the big crux of this film involves the cinema, and there are three people. There's quite a few villains in this. There are three people involved in this cinema. There's the cinema owner, there's the main star, and there's the girl who casts people. These three people all in together creating these horror films. Only the thing with the horror films is they're not horror films, they're snuff movies, because these films that are being shown in the cinema aren't acted, they're torture scenes or horror scenes that these three people have figured out, in particular the guy who acts it, who is a killer, where they capture people. The girl invites them to audition for the roles, the guy projects it, and then the other guy kills people, films it, and then they release it because they dub everything. They dub what all the people are saying and release it as a horror film. And these films have been shown in this guy's cinema. They're all in it together, so they're making snuff movies basically. And people that are going to watch the films think that these are just real movies, but really shocking, really well made, really good gore scenes and stuff. But it's all real. And this sort of thread continues throughout the book, and all these snuff films play out a bit like short stories, which Lehman was really good at. So you've got a whole bunch of these little films going on, and you get to see the making of and the acting out, obviously, which is real life, of all these snuff films. They're quite imaginative, involving all sorts of horrible stuff, and they're quite good. You've also got there's quite a good, funny. Lehman did have a really good sense of humour. There's a bit in it in which one girl, fairly early on, wants to share a room with the girl that's auditioning for these movies, and this girl who's auditioning for these movies decides this girl will be a great victim in these films, and she obviously ends up killed. that's a minor spoiler, but it's quite early on. However, what happens later, it's a funny scene, I am going to tell you about it, is that there's a knock on the door a few days later, and the same girl turns up outside this woman's flat, asking for a room. And I won't tell you any more about that, but it was genuinely funny, really, really funny how that the reactions and what was going on with that. I thought that was really good. We've also got the fact that this girl that the ex-boyfriend is now seeing, this maniac girl, she's a real piece of work. She is married, her husband's a lot older, and he's stuck in a wheelchair, unable to move or talk, and she keeps him there while she seduces this other guy, and she basically forces him to watch everything they do. She likes torturing him, and she wants him to die, but slowly, and she thinks this is a nice way of torturing him. Obviously, this ex-boyfriend who's now with this girl is really unnerved by this and by how cruel she is and just how she is. But he finds her super attractive and he can't stop seeing her, even though he knows that she's demented, basically. And they're trying to form a plan to, like I say, kill this cop and his ex-girlfriend. And all these threads sort of converge with these short stories about the horror films, the cinema, the ex-boyfriend and this crazy woman who genuinely does seem to like this guy. I thought this was going in a different direction, but she does seem to like him. She's just genuinely mad. The girl, the deaf girl, who's the main character, and her police officer boyfriend now, and it's all converging, so it's all back and forth between the stories, but it's well written, it's well structured. It's not massively exciting, and by layman's standards, it's nowhere near as dark as some of his other books, either before or after, but it is an entertaining read. There is a revelation later that does involve the fact that the main female character is deaf, to do with the movies, that I thought was very well handled and done. I also do then question why nobody else has ever noticed what she notices, because although she's deaf and it does play out, it's also a case of, has no one ever figured out that these films, well, I won't go there, but you know, it's it does make me question why nobody else thought of this. That was a hideous face, wasn't it? But other than that, I thought it was quite a well-made movie. Well-made book. I thought it was well constructed. I just thought it wasn't terribly interesting. It was fun. It was a decent read. I didn't get bored of it, and there was some laugh out loud moments. But at no point was it something that I felt like I really wanted to return to. I also thought that the ending was a bit. I'm not sure how you're supposed to feel about it, because on the one hand, there's a lot of people that get their comeuppance, and there's some deaths and stuff. But on the other hand, it feels like justice hasn't really been done in a sense. Like, you're supposed to be rooting for this end as, yeah, that's a good way of dealing with these characters, but you're also thinking, well, what about these characters? Why are we not dealing with these? You know, that's kind of how it ends. So it's an alright book. I'm a bit mixed on it. I want to like it more than I do. I can appreciate the way it's constructed. There are certain things that I generally do like about it, but I'm also kind of not massively excited about it or anything. It's okay. It's an okay book. So that's Out of the Lights from 1982.